guys, this is Caleb, and today we're going to be looking at turning this kind of dark and dingy looking room into the shot that I use for the actual show. So here we have a bunch of stuff that I use to kind of set everything up, and I wanted to break everything down. So we're starting from scratch. I have the room lights on. This room eats up a lot of light, and we're just going to go through some of the things that I use and then start putting everything together. So we'll start from this side and work our way over. This first stand holds this little target here. This is what I use to kind of check my exposure and then focus. Since I don't have an operator with me, I need to do that to kind of make sure things are in focus before I start shooting. Next up, I've got a C stand here. This is going to hold two lights, the Alzo 3000s, which are over here on this table, and we'll take a closer look at those in a second. And on that, I have a nano clamp from Manfrotto. Running off of that, I've got a monitor arm here, and this is where I'll mount the monitor so I can kind of see, you know, when I'm working with gear and showing you guys stuff, make sure everything's in frame and in focus and such. So that's that. We have a tiny stand right here. This is going to be for the background light. And for the background lights, I'm using two torch LEDs from Switchtronics. Then we have another light stand here. This one's going to be considerably higher than the other one, and that's going to be the kind of hair rim light. And then over here, I've got another stand, a kind of heavy duty stand with this guy, which I love. This is a reflector arm. And on one end you have a weight, and then this thing extends out and has two clamps on it, which allow you to attach a reflector to a light stand and lets you kind of angle everything. So we'll take a closer look at that. And then behind me, over here, I've got the reflector, which is actually, I'm using the center part, which is my silk. We're gonna be shooting two of those LED lights, the Alzo 3000s, through that using this. So this is mounted to a stand. If you wanna learn more about what stands I use and like to have, I've done a video on that, and so I'll link to that. And then finally at the end here, I've got another stand. This is a special stand. This is actually a boom stand, and this is what I use to set up the microphone to make sure I get that shotgun mic out of the shot, but I can get it, you know, just where I need it to get some clean audio. Then some sandbags to hold everything down. And then you'll notice right here on the floor, this green tape, this is the center of the shot. So this is where I stand at the table. This way when I get things focused and I move this out of the way, I can just stand here and I know I'm in the shot and I'm in focus. For the actual table, behind me, let me get this out of the way here, I have an IKEA tabletop. What's cool is you can go to IKEA and you can get all kinds of different sizes. You'll see over in the corner here, I've got another one I'm using as like a bench. So this is a gray one. I'm trying to remember the size exactly, I'm not really remembering it, but it's nice and deep. And these are really cheap. So you can get them in white, wood, gray like this. And then I have two, let me put this guy back here real quick. I've got two of these sawhorses also from IKEA. These are adjustable, so you can have a table, you know, sitting level or a standing level. So I've got two of these guys. These are pretty affordable as well. And so I have one on each end, and then I put the tabletop over it. So now what I'm going to do is move all the stands out of the way, put the table up, and we'll start setting up our lighting. Okay, so I have the table completely set up. Now we're going to set up our lights. This is where I take my trusty little stand here that I use to focus, and I'm able to kind of get the light angles all correct. So let's start with the key. I'm gonna walk over here. We've got a C stand. I need to rotate this around here. And this is where we're going to mount our two lights. Like I said earlier, we're using Alzo 3000 lights, and these are very affordable when you consider what you get. So this is 3,000 watt output equivalent, and you can get this for around $300. So I have two of those suckers, which gives me a ton of light, and the more light the merrier, because we're going to be diffusing this light, so we want as much as possible to start with. So what I do is I mount both on the same stud here. So put one like that, grab the other one here, and they have this really nice, pretty flexible mounting system, which allows you to mount both. Otherwise, this would be impossible if it was a different setup. So grab this guy, and we're gonna mount it right above the first one. like that. I'm gonna angle them both down, and they have this nice ratcheting handles, which make this a lot easier than it looks. And so we're just gonna do something like that. Take the caps off. There's a quick release. Keep your little glass fixture as well as the actual LED diode or LED cluster safe. So there we have it. Gonna kind of deal with my cords here. And to power all this, in a previous video I talked about this guy right here. It's a really awesome power strip splitter octopus thing. This makes it really nice to use power without having to deal with nasty bricks and things getting in the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug that in and get both of these lights hooked up like so. And now what we want to do is get the height correct on these. So we're going to bring it nice and high. Make sure I'm kind of roughly hitting my subject there, or myself. And I'll double check to make sure yeah, that's good. Grab a sandbag, plop it down. Boom, key lights are set up. Now we need to set up the diffuser. And like I talked about earlier, I use this killer reflector holder, and you can see here I've got it all set up. It takes a little while to get set up, but once you get used to it, it's not bad. So you can see here I have it all set up. We got the weight on this end, and it's awesome because on the stand you can rotate the angle. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab our next stand, kind of position this where I need it. Drop it down, tighten down the reflector holder, and then raise that up. This is a pretty cheap stand. This is like a $40 stand, really heavy duty, air cushioned. It's pretty nice. And what I'm gonna do now is bring everything in, because we gotta get, this is the tricky part. We have to get the shot, so we can't have this stinking diffuser in the shot. We also have to get the light as close to the front as possible. So I'm gonna move this other stand out of the way a little bit. Kind of play with things, something like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and power up the lights. There we go, so that's pretty good. So I'll fine tune this later, but that's the key setup. So we have our diffuser, the two lights. That's gonna give me plenty of soft light. So now we're gonna deal with the rim light and the background light. Let's do the background light first. And so I have right here the torch LED panel. So it's really simple, really nice and small setup. I have a ball head going down to a rapid baby, and that lets me easily adjust this light. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw it on our light stand. Get this puppy roughly oriented. Turn it on. And you also have to make sure it's out of the shot, something like that, and then you play with the levels to get that right. So that's that light. Next light is the hair light, and I've got another stand over here. Same kind of setup on this one. Position this all the way in the corner. And angle that down. Again, we're aiming for, that's good right there. It's really bright though. Something like that. Now we have all three lights set up. And at this point, I'm gonna fine tune it a little bit, and then we're going to get the boom mic setup all prepared, and then I'm gonna show you where my sticks go, what is on the camera, how do I run audio, and all that good stuff. Okay, so this is what the final setup looks like, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut to the GH4, which is what I use to shoot this, and you can see everything's looking pretty good. I gotta get this out of here. Set that over here. And this is kind of what the final shot looks like. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about audio and some of the finishing touches to the setup. So here I have a Rode NTG2 mounted to this impact boom arm. This is fantastic because as you can see, you can have a stand off to the side, run the mic over, and the lens setup is long enough to where even though the mic ends right about here, it's just out of the shot. So great tool. I use this thing all the time. And then from the microphone, I run an XLR over toward the camera, and I have a Juice Link preamp, the RA222, hooked up on a Dinkum Systems arm, and then the XLR goes into the box. I have the Juice Link set to split that to the left and right. Then that gets fed into the GH4, and that gives me a nice juicy signal going into the GH4, so the GH4 preamps don't have to do a lot of work. So that's audio. It's pretty simple. You know, I can monitor and change it from there. I also have right over here a small HD monitor, and that is allowing me to see clearly what is in the shot, and I can, you know, see what's going on here and actually in the shot interact with whatever the product is, make sure I don't go out of the shot or into the shot with certain things. And I can also see my audio levels, which is really helpful. And as for these sticks, I'm using a Benro tripod, and what I've done is I've went ahead and marked on the floor with green spike tape where the sticks are to go, because often what'll happen is I need to go on a shoot, so all this stuff gets packed up. So I know exactly where the camera goes. I've also written down the entire setup so I can duplicate it over and over. So I know exactly how high the camera needs to be, how far from the table it needs to be. You know, it's at 35 millimeters at f4 with these settings, with this light. So that's a quick look at how I make this room turn into the studio and how I set the lighting and the audio. Pretty straightforward, and do keep in mind, you don't have to get all this stuff if you want to duplicate this. You really just need some kind of surface, your key light. You could even go without a background light. You don't have to have all that stuff. This is just kind of an extreme scenario because I do so many of these videos, but you could duplicate this with a lot less gear. Stay tuned for more videos like this. I'm going to continue doing these studio series, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different other topics. We're also going to get a tour of this space. You can see what's over there and how I set this whole room up. Thanks for watching. You can find more stuff like this at DSLRvideoshooter.com. I'll see you guys over there.